What's happening, guys? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. On today's show, we're going to talk about Dynasty players that will actually pay market prices for. But I'll tell you a guy I will always pay well above market for. That is my co-host. You know him as the man of the hour and the man with the power. Jerry Sinclair, buddy, how are you?
And that's why we do a fantasy football show and not a stock market show, because you would bust if you invested that much into me. But god damn, is it good to hear your voice. It's good to be here for a second week in a row. You're pandering to my schedule yet again, which is why if you are listening on YouTube, you are getting it on a Sunday, I guess depending where you're at. Midnight. Not midnight. Late afternoon. That's what we'll call it. I don't know.
Jerry, Jesus H. Christ.
Earlier than we normally record it. Give me a damn break. I don't know.
It's like literally 8:45 Eastern time. It's like it's like mid-evening.
I'm not.
It's not quite late evening.
I'm not weirdo time zones anymore. All right, we're in the Central Plains out here now. We're at 7:46. It's sitting wonderful.
All right, so Jerry is living in the middle of a cornfield in Iowa. I am going to see him this summer, but you did hear that man mention YouTube. Thank you for all the noob subscribers. And this is, I guess, our early treat. 2 days early if you're subscribed on YouTube. Jerry's schedule has been that it's been beneficial for him and his family and his work schedule to link up on Sundays. Cool. I didn't get to watch my Colts take an absolute shellacking last Sunday. I am missing the early part of the Dolphins and the Chargers, but I would not miss the opportunity to talk ball with my boy Jerry. So make sure you're tuned in to Dynasty WarZone everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and of course YouTube. YouTube's the big one, right? Make sure you watch a video, make sure you subscribe, leave us a little thumbs up emoji, and leave a comment. Talk about Jerry's hat, my hat. My wife said, "Why are you wearing a hat in the house?" I was like, "I am going to record a podcast." So you can see what kind of hat I'm wearing today. I have a more...
Wait. Hold on. We're not allowed to wear hats in the house?
It was just
a young thing?
No, I think it's because it was like, again, 8:45 at night. Okay. And my wife is like, "Why are you wearing it?" Because it's Sunday, right? Normally when we record this show on Tuesday, I have just gotten home from baseball with my son. You know, he's doing his stuff. I come down here to record. I've already got said hat on. But like it's Sunday, it's kind of the one-off, caught her off guard. But if you want to see the hat du jour, my hat, you know what, Jerry? I wear a new hat every week for like 2 weeks. I'm sorry, for like 2 months. I have that many hats. So see what the hat of the day is. Go to YouTube, Dynasty WarZone, and subscribe. Don't even turn the notifications on unless you want to see content like this. Then notifications turned on, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, you know, those type things. But anyway, Jerry, let's jump into this show. Let's jump into this time. We actually have a good person, bad tweet, but I'm going to have to get your input because you sent this one to me. Now, this is a friend of the show. Not only is this a friend of the show, this is the co-host of a very good friend of ours. That would be Mr. Shane Manella. I'm not going to name all of the projects that Shane's a part of, but this is one of his many co-hosts. This is Scott Connor at Charles Chill FFB. And Mr. Connor tweeted, he said, "Anyone with the 101, a bad roster, very common, and in a deep league, 11 starters or more is in for a rude awakening when they shop that 101. And I'll bet that 90% of people will shop that 101. Now, Jerry, I've processed this. I think I'm going to give you my take. But when you read this and you sent this to me, what was your take?
Okay, first I definitely don't usually give the caveat that a good person, bad tweet needs another level, because he has been in this game just as long as I have, and I respect the hell out of him. I just think he's wrong on this. And maybe that's why I found it so egregious that he said it, because I know he knows better than this. That 101 is going to get stupid value forever. Like, and we're talking about a 101 that people have had as the 101 for multiple years. It's like when Saquon came out. Everybody knew Saquon was going to be the 101. And Bijan Robinson is going to be the 101 no matter where he lands, no matter what situation he's in. It does not matter. And because of that, and he's a known commodity, and I sent another tweet where somebody said Bijan Robinson was like their RB3 or something in a startup. And bro is not even on a team. He's still playing in whatever bowl game Texas is in. If I see that on Twitter, and then I see a tweet like this that says, you're going to try and shop him and you're going to be upset that you're not going to get what you want, I disagree fully. Especially in somebody that's as profound and as known as Bijan Robinson is as a prospect. I think he is going to get stupid value from people that do trade him away. But what are your thoughts? Like, it's not one of the, I wouldn't put it in the top 15 of tweets that we've had. I think the theory is just absolutely 100% incorrect.
Several things when I read this and I processed this. One, I do agree with his take that 90% of people will shop this tweet or shop this tweet. I shop this tweet. We'll shop this pick. You should always shop the 101.
Correct.
If you get the Godfather offer, and for those of you that don't know what the Godfather offer is, that's when someone makes you an offer you can't refuse. If someone makes you an offer you can't refuse, you have to move it. But you at least have to put the pick out there in the market. Where I firmly disagree with him, about once every 3 to 5 years, you get the guy. You mentioned Saquon. I have some questions here in just a second. But you mentioned Saquon. And there will be a continued drumbeat that goes on for Bijan Robinson. And it will become palpable by the time the NFL draft goes live. So once we really get past this show, Jerry and I are going to start talking a little bit more about this upcoming rookie class. How do you stay ahead because you get ahead and you're always ahead? And we want to start looking at rookies. We'll try to get our boy Dallas from the rookie rundown over here with us. But yeah, I mean, Bijan fever is going to hit at an all-time high, and you'll be able to name your price even in a super flex outside of maybe Josh Allen, Mahomes, and a couple of other QBs. I mean, I won't get too into specifics about what I would move the 101 for, but I would be shopping it. But he's dead wrong when he says it's not going to have buzz. If this guy comes out, it's going to be a Barkley level buzz. Now here's where I have some questions for you, Gerald.
Yep, shoot.
Now, I have two. First question first is, will Bijan is his hype train going into the NFL draft, is it going to be higher or lower than Saquon?
I don't think it's going to match Saquon's. I mean, same ballpark, but Saquon.
What if he murders the combine?
I mean, then of course, right? But I have yet. Trevor Lawrence was a prospect sort of like that too, where we just knew for multiple years he was going to be the guy. But in my time playing, which is longer than a lot, not as long as some, I have never seen a prospect like Saquon Barkley coming out hype-wise. The narrative around that man was that he was going to be him. And he was for a little bit until the injuries hit, and he's done extremely well again this year. So I won't say that he's hit that. But as far as anybody else, he might be the second most hyped 101 since I have played this game.
Okay, that's fair. So as a talent, as a prospect, currently you're taking Saquon. I am going to agree with you for one smaller but yet different reason. And mine is that Bijan is playing in the Big 12 versus Saquon in the Big 10. See, in the Big 10, they actually do this thing. It's called playing defense. In the Big 12, defense is what's known as optional. So while I'm excited for Bijan, I do agree with Jerry that Barkley was, at least in my opinion, a slightly better prospect coming out.
Also, Saquon got number 2 overall draft pick, draft capital. And
it was 2. It was two. It was Leonard Fournette was 4.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff is just gone. So, maybe Bijan would have had a chance a couple of years ago to get drafted that high if he would have came out that same year, but those kind of draft capital numbers are just out the window at this point.
All right, and then my second part of this rookie 101 question: is there not a spot that Bryce Young now in a 1 QB it's Bijan all day long and twice on Sunday, but in a super flex 2 QB league, is there a landing spot or is there anywhere that Stroud or Young could land that would make you say, hey, this is a super flex, this is a 2 QB, I've got to take a quarterback, no one's trading, I'm on the clock, it's the 101, I'm getting ready to push a button? Is there a landing spot that you had to just say, I'm taking the QB?
In theory, I think the better play is to take the QB for the most part. I just don't think people are going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, as far as quarterback, like even Tua, right? Like Tua struggled. At this point, Tua's worth a shitload. Justin Fields came out. Absolutely could not have looked worse. Like, you diarrheaed in your pants and you're trying to finish your shift and you are just having a hell of a time. And now all of a sudden, dude looks like he's going to win people some leagues. So it is definitely a safer bet. And I think that the answer should be yes to your question. I just don't think it will be.
Yeah, because I'm looking currently at Tankathon and their current power ratings. Obviously, Houston got the 101. They're going to take their choice of QB. Seattle has the number 2 overall pick. That will be fascinating whether or not they trade back or what they do with that pick, what they do with Geno Smith. I don't know that the Seattle is, let's say hypothetically they took, I don't know, they took CJ Stroud there. That's not going to make me pass up. Chicago at 3, they have their guy in Justin Fields. If you believe the Ian Rappaport tweet that came out, that your Lions are very happy with Jared Goff as their QB of the not too distant future. And that's another team, as well as New Orleans. Talk about 3 teams that make great trades. You have the Lions. The Lions and great don't often collide in the same sentence, but yeah, here we are. You have the Lions, the Eagles, and the Seahawks, who in the case of the Eagles, they clearly have their QB.
Yeah.
Detroit seems to be happy. And then I could see a lot of action trade up. What about my Colts? The only other situation that I could see would be like my Colts. Would like a Colts landing spot working with Michael Pittman, working with Jonathan Taylor, Quentin Nelson. Would that be enough, Indy?
It's close. I don't think it probably would be, but it would be worth a consideration. I actually think New Orleans is sort of would be a nice spot, just because I really think Chris Olave, and I'm going to talk about him later, spoiler, is that's a dude. Like, that's just a dude, and I would love to see a nice young quarterback who's not the Red Rocket throwing him the ball, for the love of God, anymore.
The problem is that they've traded away their pick. So it's not going to be the Eagles. I think the Colts are going to wind up. I hope they lose every game, to be quite honest. They're now the 7th overall pick. I hope they lose every game and wind up with a good draft pick. But so we're in agreement. Charles, we can agree that everybody's going to shop it. We disagree with Charles in that we think you'll be able to get a nice return for that 101. 100%. And maybe on a future show, as we get closer to draft season, we'll talk about what you take for the 101. Cool?
Yeah. I mean, so cool. I think that's a very relevant topic in the next coming months.
Well, that was Good People, Bad Tweets, brought to you by our patron. And not only is the Good People, Bad Tweets, but today's topic is directly from our group chat. Good friend of the show and content creator, Brian Ford. I think it's at _FF Junkie. He is awesome. Just search Brian Ford, green little like logo, what are those things called? Avatar. It's a little green avatar. And Brian's an awesome dude. And he was talking in our patron group chat the other day. Jesus Christ, is there anybody you'll pay market for? And I was like, well, yeah, here's 2 or 3 guys. And as a matter of fact, we'll make that the topic of today's show because they inspired us. But extra podcasts, group chats, help with your rosters, trade advice, and all that and more over at patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. Jerry, you were in there all day today.
I was. And listen, when the Lions are winning, it makes me want to stay within the football world and not throw my cell phone into the trash. And they came out with a big one. Like, yeah, Randy, they're making the playoffs. They're going to make some noise. And if this backfires, I give you full permission to do a cut of me saying all of this and then the absolute disappointment from when they punch me in the face later, because I am drinking the Kool-Aid so much right now. Dan Campbell for president, Jared Goff for my boyfriend, all of the above. Jameson Williams, welcome to the NFL, buddy.
I gotta say, outside of going to the Jets next weekend, because it is outdoors and it's a pretty tough defense, and it is Jared Goff, and it is New York City. But outside of that, I mean, at Carolina, winnable.
Bears.
Home to Chicago, winnable. And believe it or not, at Green Bay, winnable. So if they win 3 of the next 4, they go 9-8 and are right there in the mix for a playoff spot. Just like you can be right there in the mix with our patron, patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. Come over, take a look around. It's a great time. We'll be doing startups in around March, April, and all the rookie stuff and help with your rookie drafts and so much more. Patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. All right, Gerald, let's get into this. Let's again thank Brian and the guys in the group chat for suggesting this topic, which is players will actually pay market for. Now, Jerry, when you hear the term players you'll actually pay market for, what comes to mind? Because I'll tell you what I thought as I wrote it down, as I read it in the group chat the other day.
Good players that are worth a lot and that you will still pay that amount for. This is not trying to find value and sneak a little bit as best you can. No, these are bona fide players who are probably young, probably under contract, came into the league like wrecking balls, and they're still worth it. They're still the guys you want on your team. You don't care how much it costs.
Well, when I wrote it down, and what I think is, it's like I'm always going to reference good friends of the show, Izzy, JP, Mosier, the guys from the Dynasty Trade Calculator, a wonderful tool, the only tool that we endorse here on the Dynasty Warzone, that when you plug it in their app, the Dynasty Trade Calculator, and you see a player's value, and it's like sometimes it could be like 2 firsts or a first and another young player. I'll just use an example. It's like this is not an actual calculation, but if they said to get CeeDee Lamb, it takes Chris Olave and a 2023 first, like a mid first. I would probably pay that if I was a contender. Olave's pretty good. He's going to be pretty good. Lamb's producing a little bit higher right now. But that would be like a market-ish trade. So when I hear that, it's like I don't think the asking price based on the DTC, that's the only neutral third party that I can really recommend, that I'm gonna be like, cool. Yeah, you know what? Cool. I will pay that for a guy. So Jerry, you actually, this is all segueing. It's almost like we're professionals. We're going to segue right into your first guy. And you mentioned his name earlier, and I just mentioned his name. So give me the first guy you're paying market for on this beautiful Sunday evening.
Mine's Chris Olave. He has come into the league and he has looked fantastic in a situation that is not entirely conducive to him looking fantastic, because we have watched Andy Dalton play this game for a long time and he has not been beneficial to fantasy managers. He just has not. And that has only gotten worse. The older he has gotten, he's gotten better looking. I'll say that. The rugged red, much better than the young red. But that situation could be exponentially better. He has proven that he is an immense talent, and he was a person that I was a little skeptical on coming in. Not the case. I had, John Ross vibes You come running in the 4.2s, you get drafted super high. I get PTSD about it. He said, Jerry, don't you worry, my friend. And he put his arm around me and he guided me into glory in several leagues. And that's the kind of player that I want on my team, Randy. And according to DTC, he's worth about an early first. He's worth about 27 points in there. And an early first, I think they have is about 30-ish. So would I pay the 104 for him? Yeah, I would. You're not going to get probably the quarterbacks. You're not going to get Bijan. So then you're looking at, JSN. Listen, JSN is an awesome talent, and I think he has the potential to be somebody like Justin Jefferson. But Chris Olave is showing me that he's going to do it. And this dude is already on pace for 1,100-ish yards as a rookie with Andy Dalton. That is the beginning of a mountain climb that I want to get in on while he's at near the base of the mountain. That's my guy.
Well, a couple of three things. So out of all rookies, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, QBs, who do you think the highest scoring rookie is on this fair season? Now, this is a trick. This is a trick question because it does not. I believe this website I'm using is one of my fantasy league websites. I don't believe it's included today's game. I don't have enough fingers and toes to do the math that quickly. But who do you think would be the one? It says through week 14, so it could.
So is it Olave?
It's not. It's actually Garrett Wilson, who was my wide receiver 1 coming into the season. But my wide receiver 2 is the number 2 overall scoring rookie on the season. That is Mr. Chris Olave. And I heard you mention Jackson Smith and Jigba. Absolutely not. Today, knowing what I know, there's no way in hell that I would, let's say we're in a Devy league. You Devy? You're not afraid of Devy. You dive into some Devy every once in a while. You'll delve into a Devy is what you'll do. You'll do some delving into some Devy. And if you offered me straight up today, your Jackson Smith and Jigba for my Chris Olave, I'm going to tell you kindly to go fuck yourself. Because as talented as he is, it's not like he's missed the majority of the season due to an ACL, fairly common reason to miss the season. He's missed it because of hamstring issues. Hamstring issues create scarring. There's a high reoccurrence rate. And as it was said about Mr. Keenan Allen, Brian Robinson literally got shot twice. And he came back faster than Keenan Allen from a hamstring. No, I'm not. Because here's the thing. We actually kind of brushed up against this greatness earlier in the show, is that even if Seattle chooses to draft a Stroud or a Young or whomever they have with Denver's current 2nd overall pick, here's the beauty of it. A guy like Geno Smith, who will be a free agent, maybe he could go to New Orleans. And Geno Smith, last time I checked, led the NFL in completion percentage. He would be a huge step up over the Red Rocket, over famous Jameis, and other quarterbacks that could be on the move. I mean, there's rumors of Derek Carr being on the move. I would love Derek Carr. I don't think it'll happen, but these are all things. So not only do I love what Olave's been able to accomplish with the combination of the Red Rocket and Jameis, but I think there's a lot more to come. So for me, pretty easy stuff. I will easily take Olave. I absolutely love that pick, that choice. Jerry, are you ready for my second guy? Or my first guy, second of the show.
I do not know. I never know with you.
You know what, Jerry? You know what you deck during the holiday season?
The halls?
We're gonna deck a hall. We're gonna deck Breece Hall. What in the hell is wrong with people? I love Breece Hall. This kid is an absolute monster. So I had to use some rankings. I wanted to give the listener a basis of rankings of where people have current value of Mr. Breece Hall. So I chose Fantasy Pros. Why? Because it's readily available and it's something that all of our listeners would have access to. Not everybody has a DLF membership or a Roto Underworld membership. So let's use some rankings that are free and easily accessible, except when they suck. And that's what these do. These are absolutely terrible rankings. I know it's like their wisdom of crowds, collective IQ. I really don't care. Let me read their number one, and you can tell me if you have as much issue with it as I do. Are you ready?
Okay, shoot.
Jonathan Taylor, number one. Now, I can tell you right off the jump, I have no issue.
Nope.
Okay, no issue. Cool. Okay, Kenneth Walker, the 3, as the RB2 in a startup, Gerald.
Spicy, he's in there. I don't know if I would put him exactly at 2, but I don't hate it.
Okay. So neither do I, by the way. I think Walker has looked good. He's flashed way more in the passing game. So I have exactly 0.0 issue with KW3 and JT ahead of Breece Hall. Are you ready for number 4?
Okay.
Saquon Barkley. Now, I currently don't have my soundboard attached. A little technical issue, but if I did, I would give you the cricket sounder. What the actual fuck are we talking about here? We're talking about a guy who is not in a great offense, who is by all intents having a nice bounce back season. But I got news for you. At the point of Breece Hall getting hurt, he was going pound for pound with Saquon Barkley. And I got even more news for you. Over the last 7 weeks, because Hall got injured in week 7, Barkley has taken a bit of a drop. You know, he hasn't scored over 20 points in a game in a few weeks. So I don't get it. Guy going into year 5 of his career, kind of baffling to me, Jerry. Are you ready for number 4?
Okay.
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, a little too old.
I mean,
a little too hurt for me. Listen, looks great today. I'll say that. But
he did look great today. He literally lit Tampa Bay on fire, then pissed that fire out, poured some more gasoline on him, and set him on fire again. That's great. But here's the thing. Here's a guy who's missed the better part of 2 seasons, and he's going into year 7. 7 of his career. This is Dynasty. This is not redraft. This is not keeper. This is Dynasty, where you keep these guys for their entire career. So for me, this is just crazy. He's the RB5 and easily a guy that, you know, you're probably going to get asked for 2 firsts. I would love to give you some of these jokers I'm going to talk about later in the podcast on their running back rankings, and my 23 first for Saquon Barkley. I do it all, excuse me, for Breece Hall. An absolute steal at RB5. Last time I checked, I hate to say anyone else's ACL being torn and being surgically repaired is no big deal. I mean, it's not to me because it's not my ACL, but it's a pretty standard procedure.
I would give my ACL to Breece Hall.
Dude, if I could, I have so many teams that I drafted so much Breece Hall last, like the big money league that you and I are in together, and I had so much Breece Hall, and man, that stings. But you know what? I'm pretty excited because my season ended up tailing off. I don't know if I would have competed for a championship anyway, and to know that I have Breece Hall coming back in a couple of leagues. How about this for a coming back stack? Breece Hall and Javonte Williams. Pretty excited about that. Gonna be some nice running backs, but Breece Hall 110% is a guy that I would pay what the current market for. Like I said, it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 2 firsts. Jerry, what are your thoughts on, by the way, before I throw it to you, at the time of his injury, as a rookie, with some combination of Joe Flacco and Zach Wilson, this man through, and by the way, he got hurt in week 7, but we're going to go through week 7 because he did score in week 7. He was the RB7 through 7 games of the season, and he never scored less than double digits. That's right. His worst game was his first game, 10.1. Then he had this run of 15, 28, 20, 13 on a day he got injured. Man's a stud. I'll gladly pay market for Breece Hall, especially if you can send them the Fantasy Pros rankings. See, like, look, I'll give you Saquon Barkley, but you got to give me Breece Hall and something in return because Fantasy Pros said so. Thoughts?
I think I would probably have Breece Hall as my RB2 overall. You know, we had some talks a couple months ago. I was a little skeptical that Michael Carter would eat into it eventually, you know, at least the first half of the season. That never existed.
Hey, Jerry,
And Brees Hall was an absolute
Jerry.
What smart ass
Michael
you got coming?
Michael Carter, Linda Carter, Jimmy Carter, doesn't matter. It's Brees Hall all goddamn day.
It is Brees Hall all goddamn day. Yeah, I looked on DTC and it said he's worth about an early first. Like I'll take Brees Hall over Bijan Robinson. I'm fairly confident in that.
Now, for me personally, if you want to see my Dynasty rankings, again, shameless plug, patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone, Brees Hall is still my 2. He's my RB2. I have it JT1, Brees Hall 2. That's as much as I'm going to divulge on the podcast here today. But Jerry Bear, that's where I'm at on Brees Hall. So throw us your number 2. Who is the next guy that you're willing to go out today and pay within reason his market value?
This one's going to be a little weird because there's probably going to be a bunch of people that hear the name and go, no shit, Jerry. Because they already did it, but I was not totally sold. I thought he was going to struggle a little bit, and it's Joe Burrow. When Jamar Chase went down, I thought, now we're going to get to see Joe Burrow. T. Higgins is good. Tyler Boyd is good. Don't get me wrong. But Jamar Chase is Megatron to Matthew Stafford. He's just a crutch where you can just go, fuck it. He's down there somewhere. Throw the ball. Let him get it. And he did well. And he has continued to do well. So my guy's Joe Burrow. I don't have anything on it other than I was a little skeptical, Randy, coming in. I had him I was concerned, very concerned. That's what I'm saying. But he shut me up. So that's why I am definitely going to pay that. I would be happy to have Joe Burrow as a cornerstone piece on my Dynasty roster. And I can't say that coming into the season. And it might not be, a huge deal to a lot of listeners because they may have already felt that way. But I am just letting you know that I'm there. I am on the bus. Please save me a seat.
All right. Well, I like Joe Burrow. Again, I had a little speculation. I guess I was a little concerned coming into the season. And initially those concerns were justified. The offense was being ran a lot more through Joe Mixon again. He was coming off of the appendix surgery and appendectomy. How about that for a word out of your boy here? Appendectomy. Started off a little bit slow, but that guy has been scorched earth the last several weeks. So I'm looking again, Fantasy Pros. I mean, you use what's free, but it's worth what I paid for it. Anyway, so I'm going to name some QBs.
Okay.
And you tell me if you want them over Joe Burr.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Josh Allen.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes.
I do.
Justin Herbert. For those that aren't French or French.
It's close. I don't think I do right now.
See, this is where I'm shocked. If you go back to the rookie season when Herbert come out, I would like to think that the proof is in YouTube and on podcast. I might have been the biggest Dynasty proponent of anybody of Justin Herbert, and although he has done a tremendo job of making me look smart for supporting him, I gotta think today I'm taking Joe Burr. I love the way they're calling the offense. I love the weapons he's surrounded by, and I don't know if it's global warming. I used to get weirded out by, because I live in Indianapolis for new listeners to the show. I live in Indy. You live in bumfuck Iowa. I'm always used to the weather this time of the year in the Dynasty and the fantasy playoffs being crap. I got news for you today. It's week 14. I left my house today. It was like 44 degrees. While I'm not going to be out sunbathing in the nude until July, but for current weather, it's not that bad, right? Yeah. It's not that bad. So I'm taking Joe Burr over Justin Herbert. Now here's a tough one. My old nemesis, a guy that you were on pretty early, Mr. Jalen Hurts.
I would love to say Joe Burrow, but I just can't. Jalen Hurts he's done too well. Sorry, I just have to be wrong at some point.
And I have made fun of these atrocious rankings that I've read many, many times, but I am not infallible. I make mistakes all the time, but I try to learn from them. I was very, very anti Jalen Hurts, but you know what? He's way better. And don't ever underestimate kids. First of all, if you're listening to this podcast, it has an E, so I'm hoping you're doing that behind your parents' back. Good for you. But I've been the guy who has been the anti-Jalen Hurts guy for a long time. Kids never underestimate the power of hard work. Hard work pays off. If you know who Matt Frazier is, that's on his shoes. He has like the hard work pays off slogan. Hard work pays off, dude. Jalen Hurts loves his craft. When it comes to loving his craft and getting better, he's the anti-Kyler Murray. He loves this shit. He eats it. Well, he doesn't eat shit. That's a Happy Gilmore reference. But this guy's really good. So I would take Jalen Hurts above Joe Burr. But then of the guys, but I think that's a clear tier. For me, Joe Burr is in a tier all his own, right? It's Mahomes and Allen 1 and 2. Then in this weird quasi tier all his own, it's Jalen Hurts. Then it's Joe Burr. Kind of hard not to.
I think I'm with you.
All right, so Joe Burr.
I'm just looking at their QB rankings. They have Jared Goff 23. Kenny Pickett 17. Trey Lance 13.
Save it. We'll do this again. This is a lot of fun. Maybe we'll stay late and do a bonus patron.
Hey, you want good people, bad tweets. How about good people, dog shit rankings? That's the new segment.
Jerry, you're going to get us blocked by more people.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Well, I'm going to get on to my second guy, which really isn't my second guy. It should be your first guy because you're way more of a fan of this guy than I am. But are you ready? This is going to surprise you. It's going to bring a smile to your face. Are you ready?
Yep.
It is DK Metcalf.
Oh, okay.
Where do you no, I hope you didn't look because my feelings would be hurt. Where do you think the good folks over at Fantasy Pros have this young man ranked in their wide receiver rankings? Now, mind you, Gerald, I am going to tell you that your man DK Metcalf is 24 years old. His birthday is in 3 days as we record this. Happy early birthday, DK. We know you listen. 25, at the ripe old age at 25. Where did the fine folks over at Fantasy Pros, that's a mouthful, where do the fine folks over at Fantasy Pros have your man's DK Metcalf?
Let's say 7.
If we were playing craps, that goes with 7. They actually have it at 11. 7 and 11. We call that a yo. But I'm like flabbergasted. I stand here.
Do they have like T. Higgins ahead of him?
Jerry, I hate it when you so there for a while we were doing professional broadcasting. We were feeding each other. We were like Stockton and Malone.
It's gonna piss me off if it's there. That's why I'm asking.
Yes, be prepared. Get that fire. So they have Justin Jefferson, no question.
Okay.
Jamar Chase.
Yep.
No argument.
Yep.
AJ Brown back in the top 3.
It makes sense.
All the touchdowns, even when he fails you with the yardage, it feels like he comes through with a touchdown. And when he wins you a game, he wins you a game. CeeDee Lamb, I don't hate it. I don't have better offense, better conditions. Diggs is creeping up on 30. I don't love Diggs, but I love Diggs's production. The thing of it is that like much like the rest of the world, have you heard the expression that like 40 is the new 30?
Yeah,
that's bullshit for the record, by the way. But like 30 isn't as old for the NFL as it used to be.
No,
and Diggs and Allen have some real Harrison Manning vibes to them. So I'm cool with that. This next one, I get a little knot in the back of my throat. It's Jalen Waddle. I like Jalen Waddle. I think we're looking at the offense here, so I'm not too fired up. Okay. Next,
dude's been good. Dude's young.
He's been solid, but we're gonna see what happens when the weather turns and they have to go play up in the north because we're seeing it tonight as this is recording. They didn't look too spiffy last week on the road at San Francisco, and they're as of the recording of this show, which is at 9:25 Eastern on the Sunday night game. That offense didn't look too spiffy. And then they got to go to Buffalo on a short week. That's neither here nor there. But I like Tyreek Hill. And I honestly think, given that they're about the same age, I think I'd rather have Tyreek Hill. Man, every time we write this guy off, coming into the league because of his alleged knuckleheadedness in college, which may have been a lie. Then the alleged knuckleheadedness that he did earlier in his career. which turned out to be a lie. And then he get traded to Miami. All this guy has done has just been next level. I got to say, no, he's not as tall. He's different. I can't think of a more dominant athlete in the NFL at the wide receiver position. Now, again, he's not only quick, he's fast. Some guys are fast. You see like the 4-4, like the 4-4, 4-3 guys that never amount to a hill of shit. Mm-hmm. Then you get like the shifty guys like your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown, who can get open in a phone booth, for those who know what that is. But Tyreek is both, so I don't have any problems there. Here at wide receiver 9 is where I just want to rage flip this table over. T. Higgins. How in the fuck do you have T. Higgins anywhere near DK Metcalf in Dynasty? This is a travesty. This is a sham. This is a mockery. Jerry, it's a travesty mockery is what
it
this
really is. Listen, T. Higgins is good. Don't get me wrong.
He's a 2.
He is absolutely a 2. And even if
he's Joe Burrow's 2, but still he's a 2.
Yeah, exactly. Even if he is talent-wise not a 2, the situation he's in, he's a 2. Because Jamar Chase is him. He is a dog. He is that guy. He's always going to be second fiddle. So, yes, I'm with you. That's why, because I was thinking about it, and people love T. Higgins. So I thought T. Higgins was going to be up there, and it was just going to piss me off, and it pisses me off, Randy.
It is such bad form. It is such just egregious.
I just can't imagine being more confident in T. Higgins than DK Metcalf.
I could not imagine for the life of me. For the life of me, it's Jerry. Do you have a good imagination?
It's decent. It's okay.
Fast forward 2.5, 3 months from now. It's late February, early March, and you're doing a Dynasty startup because you're gonna.
Yeah.
Over at patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone with all of our good people over there. I could not imagine being on the clock. It's wide receiver time. I'm going to take a wide receiver. We have some of our, because not all of our leagues have the same format. We have like some start 1 wide receiver and a bunch of flexes, some start 3 wide receivers, whatever. I could not imagine being on the clock, having to push a button on a wide receiver, and anywhere within my fiber as a Dynasty gamer, pushing the button on T. Higgins over DK Metcalf. It's ridiculous.
I'm with you.
Egregious. So I will easily pay market for DK Metcalf. I'll kind of acquiesce a little bit. There's another good word. Then second good word of the podcast. I will acquiesce an appendectomy. Next week we'll go to the bees, but I will acquiesce and say Amon-Ra St. Brown because he continues to ball out. I do have some slight concerns that is this offense, kind of like Miami and kind of like Cincinnati, is it going to be as high-powered as those offenses as Jameson Williams, who looked great in his, for the most part, debut? I know he kind of played last week, but is he going to be able to maintain that? But I'm cool with that. But DK Metcalf behind Devontae Adams, who turns 30 this month, it really boggles my mind. I love DK Metcalf more than I ever have. Jerry, what am I missing about DK Metcalf? I mean, he's like the currently going into the week, he's like the wide receiver 11. He's not disappointed.
People think Geno's a bum.
How is he falling out of the top 10?
People think that Geno Smith is the Geno Smith of the New York Jets in 2014 or whenever the hell he was drafted. So the narrative is still the same from the offseason. Russell Wilson is gone. That team's going to be poop. Therefore, he has taken a dip. And it's just simply not the case. He is this unbelievable talent. He's like 24 years old, miraculously. He's literally younger than Stetson Bennett, who was just playing in the college football playoff, which is also a flabbergasting that he's still playing in college. DK Metcalf is a premier talent in this league, and he will remain one. And Tyler Lockett is only going to get older. He's still very good, so they're still going to keep relying on him, which means they're not going to bring in someone else to compete who could potentially overcome DK Metcalf. It is going to be Tyler Lockett, who is going to continue to regress because he is old.
Well, good friend of the show, Mike Kinney, says he has no QB of the future, and that's where I'm going to respectfully disagree.
They'll draft one, I would guess.
That's exactly right. As long as they have that QB2, he does have his QB of the future. His QB of the future is either Geno Smith, who they might sign to like a 2-year deal, or they're going to draft a young guy. Maybe they Patrick Mahomes him for a year behind Geno. But here's the thing: as we sit here today, through 14 weeks, he is the wide receiver 11. 11. By the way, I'm looking at this ranking. Crazy to think that Cooper Kupp has missed like 3 games in a row, and my man's is still like the wide receiver 9. That dude's ridiculous. Speaking of another 30-year-old, I don't mind him, but that doesn't bother me. DK Metcalf being outside the top 10 in anyone's rankings for Dynasty anyway just feels egregious. Do you have another one you want to throw out? A couple of bullet points?
We mentioned him already. It just because he's in sort of the same range that Fantasy Pros has him, and it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Detroit Lions are going to keep Jared Goff. And as long as Jared Goff is the quarterback, Amon-Ra is going to get peppered with targets. Jameson Williams looks exactly like the player we thought he was going to be. Like, he is going to be a guy that can rip the roof off and take a 70-yard pass. Love it. Amon-Ra has continuously, even with Jameson Williams back today, right? Now, granted, he only got the 1 catch. It was a beauty. Amon-Ra, 6 catches. Multiple 100-yard games, multiple touchdowns, tons of targets. I just, as long as Jared Goff is there, I'm going to love Amon-Ra. This is the same thing when the Vikings were considering moving on from Kirk Cousins in the offseason, and they signed him, and I was thrilled. Not because I love Kirk Cousins, but because I have a shitload of Justin Jefferson, and I want that same continued rapport. And as long as Jared Goff is with Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a top 10 guy. He scores, like you said earlier. He can get open in a phone booth. For the Gen Zs, you're going to want to Google that one. Maybe it's on TikTok somewhere. Probably not, actually. Fuck TikTok. But he's a dude. Like, he is just a supremely talented guy. They have a creative offensive coordinator who finds ways to get him open. I will take Amon-Ra, and I will pay up for him. And if somebody who loves Jameson Williams wants to ride that train and wants to give me Amon-Ra, then I will take him, because I think they will both feast.
Can I make they're not necessarily the same type of player, but can I make a comparison based around a common thread that is Jared Goff? Do you mind?
I would love it.
I just get Cooper Kupp vibes from Amon-Ra St. Brown. He plays the game a different way, but I really feel like he's that guy. He's that high volume, tons of receptions. And how many years did we have to hear that, Odell Beckham's going to hurt Cooper Kupp? He didn't. We had to hear that, Allen Robinson was going to hurt Cooper Kupp. He didn't. Bobby Trees, he didn't. So we're going to continue to hear. We heard it this offseason. Hey, Hawkinson's going to be healthy and Swift's going to be healthy, and it's going to impact Amon-Ra St. Brown. It didn't. They signed DJ Chark. It didn't. They drafted Jameson Williams. Guys, it won't. Jerry, for once in his life, he's absolutely right. Spot on, Jerry. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is here to stay. And if for some reason he falls down draft boards and he's like the 10th wide receiver off the board, the 9th, just snap him right up. Because currently, per Fantasy Pros, he is number 9. I'm going to throw one at you, Jerry. Okay. And we're going to get out of here on this one. Have you ever heard the term fall from grace?
I have heard fall from grace.
The term fall from grace is synonymous with a man maybe you've heard of him. His name is Najee Harris. Is it Najee? Najee?
It's fair.
No. Again, we're going to reference Fantasy Pros rankings for Dynasty Fantasy Football, Jerry. Mm-hmm. What RB, out of all the RBs that RB for a living, where do the good folks at Fantasy Pros think that the Najee Harris is RBing today? No, think about your personal rankings and where do you think they would have him?
9.
Almost double that, Jer.
Jeez.
They have him as running back 16. Holy dog shit. If I'm in a dynasty and I'm out of like the race or like, because the playoffs start next week, right?
Yeah.
I am going to, I'm going to send them the direct link to Fantasy Pros rankings, and I'm going to send you my Dalvin Cook for your Najee Harris. I'm going to send you. How about this? They have Ramondre fucking Stevenson as their
really?
RB10. Could you imagine being in a dynasty draft? 1 QB, no QB, 7 QB, doesn't really matter. And pushing the button ahead of Javonte Williams, ahead of Josh Jacobs. Yes, please. Please. And since these guys are ranked ahead of Najee, maybe I can get something back. If not, I'll do a 1-for-1. Absolutely. Yeah. I know people are down on the Pittsburgh offense, but this also is a direct conversation from our patron chat, Jerry. Here's the number of years of service of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett, rookie. Najee Harris, year 2. George Pickens, rookie. Calvin Austin, rookie. Deontay Johnson, he's the grand old man currently in year 4 of his career, I believe. He's 26 years old. And then you got Pat Freiermuth, year 2. This is a young offense. Any Steeler, not just Najee Harris, but any Steeler that you buy right now, I think is a buy on. How about this, Jerry? I'll buy the whole goddamn Pittsburgh Steelers offense at their current value. You know why? Because we're undervaluing them because there's growing pains. They have a mediocre offensive coordinator, a horrible offensive line that they should be able to address in the offseason because they'll have the cap flexibility. They'll have a higher draft pick in both the first and second round, and they've already got a good offense. They may bring in another wide receiver and, free agency or maybe rounds 3 through 5, bring in that Pittsburgh Steelers steal. Jerry, the Steelers always steal a wide receiver.
Always.
And maybe, but this is a buy on offense. And for Najee Harris to be the RB16, Jerry, that's criminal. That's against the law.
Wild. That's wild. I just looked at it, and part of me was going to think someone like Tony Pollard was above him, and that was going to piss me off. But luckily, he was not. But I'm with you.
I would have less of a problem with Tony Pollard being ahead of Najee Harris.
Well, Ramondre Stevenson, yeah, I agree.
I feel like Ramondre Stevenson has like nude pictures of people with sheep throughout the fantasy and dynasty industry.
Yeah, here's the thing. Something.
And the same people that now love this man, that are touting this man, are the same guys that were just like making fun of him for being slow and a suboptimal athlete. It's weird with Ramondre, but Jerry, Steelers in general, do you agree that they're a buy on?
100%. Listen, I am a man who likes to buy the running backs that everybody hates, and I promise this offseason and next year that person is going to be Najee Harris. In my startups that occur in April of 2023, I'll be able to look and I'll be able to tell when I drafted that team just based on what it looks like, because I'll have a shitload of Najee Harris on it. For that reason, bro gets all the work. What do you want? We talked about Swift, right? Like Swift is highly efficient when he gets touches. He doesn't get touches. Najee Harris at least gets touches. So if I'm going to be a dynasty player, I'm going to take the guy that's going to get the touches. I'll take opportunity every single time over 6 carries for 3 receptions, but he scored the touchdown. Yay. No, thank you. I'm good.
It is
lying or not.
It is wild out there, but that's why you tune into the Dynasty WarZone. We're here to help get you right. Those are 6 guys that Jerry and I are happy to pay market for in our Dynasty leagues. And I mean, a lot of these guys are rookies. They're injured in the case of Breece Hall. They're undervalued in the space. And if I can go out, because Jerry, I mean, let's be honest, most of us play in 12-team leagues, right?
True.
Most of our leagues have 6 teams that play in the playoffs. So half of your league's been eliminated, right?
Yep.
Your trade deadline shouldn't be. If you have a trade deadline, we're trade deadline agnostic. But if you have a trade deadline, it shouldn't be until 8 p.m. this Thursday when the fantasy playoffs start on Thursday Night Football. Okay. So if you're able to trade and you can go get any of these injured, underperforming, underappreciated assets for the guys ranked above them, and don't be afraid to leverage these rankings that we've been referring to all night long to help make a deal. But Jerry, that's a show.
It's a good show too, damn it.
You know what? I think it was the pre-workout. We got a little bench session today. I think I'm still fired up, man. But
Pecs are looking great.
Thanks, brother. Seeing the effrontery, another good word that starts with A, the effrontery that has been afforded to our guys really got me fired up. But you know what? Don't get fired up. Go buy up. Go pay a good market price. Go get some young, talented guys with bright futures. Move these crusty, dusty, old-ass bastards off your roster. Go give them to the contenders because it does help them too, right? If you're a contender, there's nothing wrong with going all in. The playoffs have started. You don't win a ship by sitting on your hands. So maybe you feel like you need to go in on a Josh Jacobs or Derrick Henry. Cool. But if you're on the opposite side of that coin, go get them. And speaking of go get them, go get with us at patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone, as if you couldn't get enough of Jerry and I. There's even more of us over there. And then I'll just throw out Hate Brand Goods real quick. Promo code Memphis. That's HVIII.com. New drops about every other Thursday. Limited small batch stuff. And Jerry, you did not win the Tundra.
I know. I'm very upset about this.
He gave away the Tundra.
I look like a Tundra guy too.
You know, it was the Adventure Wagon, and a nice lady won it. I don't think we were eligible because they sponsored the show. Bullshit. I think that's how that works.
Probably.
I think so. That feels right. But just a great brand, small business. And remember, it's always great to support the big boys, the Nikes, the Targets, the whatever. But don't be afraid to support a small business. That's people like our buddy Matt over at Hate Brand Goods. That's HVIII.com. Promo code Memphis will save you a couple of doll hairs on the way out the door. And last thing, man, YouTube, get going. I'm going to work with Jerry. We're going into the off season. We're gonna drive the YouTube. Jerry, we're not too far from where we want to be.
No,
that was very like a when will then be now. Soon. But if you want to help us into a goal that we're not even quite ready to set yet, head over to YouTube, subscribe to the show. You know, I saw a thing the other day that like so-and-so wants to get their YouTube to like so many thousands of units because they're doing it in honor of so-and-so. I was like, okay, I can get behind that. I just subscribe and I didn't turn the notifications on. It's easy peasy.
As easy can be.
I'm helping a brother out, or in this case, helping two brothers out. Me and Jerry, we're a couple of good brothers. But anyway, on behalf of Jerry, no, next week we'll both bring a rookie or two to chat about on the show next week. And here's the rule. I have a rule, impromptu. Names you cannot mention in next week's rookie segment. Are you ready?
Yeah.
No mention. Oh, Jerry's taking notes. I love this. No mention of Bijan Robinson.
Makes sense.
No CJ Stroud. No Bryce Young. And I'm going to throw in Jackson Smith and Jigba because we discussed him a little bit tonight. Those four off the table.
Deal.
All right.
It is time. The time is coming. And listen, the time for glory is now. So if you are a contender, quit holding on to your first. They're not going to mean diddly shit for you if you can win money. I mean, if you can win money, Randy, win money over having a first-round pick. I'm just saying.
I was going to say you could probably get Jackson Smith, and I got to get in the habit of saying JSN. Jackson Smith and Jigba is a mouthful. So JSN, I was saying you probably get him with a late first, but I doubt it. With Keyshawn, better name Butte, going back, I don't know that JSN isn't the wide receiver one. We'll have that conversation as we creep further to Dynasty rookie season. Guys, go win a championship. Go do something crazy. Go make a big move. Go make a splash. Now's the time. Jerry, when will then be now?
Right now.
Right now or soon. But until then, until next time, when will then be now? Next time we're on the Dynasty Warzone with my main man, the man of the hour, the man with the power at Jerry Sin DWZ on Twitter. You can follow me at DWZ Memphis. And remember, here at the Dynasty Warzone, we are just trying to make the world a better place for fantasy football. Have a great week, y'all. Good luck in those playoffs.